if you can keep him in your prayers this morning as well as the rest of his family. Thank you so much. This special meeting scheduled for 9:30 is in regards to a one-item discussion, and I had contacted the city manager earlier this week and asked if we could place this item before the workshop, which we already had scheduled, so that we could have some more discussion about the possibility of fireworks or other celebrations for the city of Lynn Haven on the 4th of July. Before we begin the discussion, I wanted to preface that remark with, in the last meeting, I know we had a pretty in-depth discussion, and although I am in disagreement and expressed that several times with decisions made by staff as well as city manager, I want you to know that that has nothing. I want all the public to know, and the commission, that I fully support this city manager. I have been an impetus behind her being city manager from the beginning. She's doing a fabulous job, and because we have disagreement over this one issue, please do not mistake that for any lack of respect, any lack of being behind what Mrs. Vicki Gaynor has done for this city. As we progress and move forward, democracy is always messy. There's a difference in an elected official and a city staff member, and elected officials sometimes in speaking out for the representation of the people is different from the day-to-day operations of the city. So I know a couple of people had some things to say, because I'm very active on social media. It's how I communicate. It's how I've communicated from the beginning. And so I do that. And some people, not too many, but a couple had, wondered, well, how do you feel about city staff? Well, of course I support the city staff. If you were a part of this commission, which most were not, from the beginning of my being mayor in the city of Lynn Haven, I stepped into the position of mayor in an adversarial position. I took the place of a mayor who had been here almost 20 years, and there were many ingrained things going on here. So it has been, I would say, a battle for me since I've been mayor, but that's what democracy is about. So please, no one, please mistake that for any personal or divisiveness on my part. It's just part of saying what you think the residents want. And one of the points that I made in my social media comments last night and before is that, in my opinion, and from what I understand from constitutional law, all representatives of the people who are elected are not there to make decisions for the people or to do what they think is best for the people as though they are children that we're taking care of. It is our ability as an elected official to reach out to our residents and ask what they would like to happen in their city. We are elected to represent, not to dictate, not to tell them what they will do. So with that, I'm going to try to be very quiet during this discussion because everyone knows where I stand already, and let everyone else have the floor. So I'm backing out now.
Mayor, if I may.
Please go ahead, Commissioner Perno.
Just to go right off of what you said, we made a decision in the last meeting, and we got a reaction from our citizens. I've listened to quite a few citizens over the last couple of days, and one thing that I heard loud and clear is that people want to be in their backyards and they want to see fireworks over the bay in Lynn Haven, and I'm glad we got a reaction so we can represent what the wave of feeling that we have felt over the last couple of days. I'm not speaking for any other commissioner, but I'm sure you've heard from people too, and that seems to be the sentiment of the public that I've dealt with. So I don't know where we're going to go, but I would move toward at least doing fireworks at a distance, kind of like what city manager had proposed in our last meeting. So I'll leave it at that, and I hope I'm not putting the cart before the horse, but I have heard from citizens, and as you just spoke, I'm saying what I think, and I hope I'm representing the people that have spoke to me. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Perno. And I did leave out one comment. Our city manager has always been for having the fireworks. I need to really reiterate that. Our disagreement was on the proposed plan that was brought on how to have the fireworks. So I just want to say the city manager was never, she was, and I'm putting words in your mouth, but I just wanted to be supportive in the fact that you were never against having fireworks. It was just making people stay in their cars, all that kind of thing. But the rest of the festivities, the pancake breakfast, the watermelon eating contest, the music, the parade, all of that was never part of the discussion that we had. So anyway, I hope that there was no misunderstanding on that, and I'll be quiet again.
Mayor, if I may.
Please go ahead.
I too, like Commissioner Perno, have heard many, many, many remarks about our last decision. And about 99.9%, maybe one person, um, was not in favor. But I've also been asked by many of them to include the parade. Forget the festivities in the park if that's a big deal. Um, and I just want to relay that. And I had another thought too in thinking about all this. We do rely on our staff and the employees here to make this happen. And I personally think if we choose to do the parade or if we choose to do whatever, I think the staff should be paid double time. It's a holiday. And I think honestly, I would ask for volunteers before I would make it mandatory to see if you got enough volunteers. Money's tight right now, and I think a lot of people would like to make double time. But that's just my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Tender.
Mayor, if I could speak.
Please go ahead, Commissioner Aldridge.
I agree with what the mayor was saying a moment ago. I don't know where we got necessarily off track on not having fireworks. I think the fireworks were always kind of part of the idea. It was just the semantics of the fireworks, whether we stay in the cars or don't stay in the cars, et cetera. I've received a bunch of calls just like everybody else, a bunch of emails. I have no problem with the fireworks. I really don't. I never did have a problem with the fireworks. I think our city manager would attest to that. I think fireworks are a great way for everybody to get out in their yards, on their boats, and wherever, because I do agree with the mayor as well that there's freedom for people to do what they want, really. This is America. The difference with the parade in me is that would be us orchestrating it versus them going and choosing where they want to stand. You know what I mean? So I did see a difference in the two there, just so that everybody knows where I'm coming from. But if everybody wants to fire off fireworks, let's fire off fireworks. I agree. We're servants of the people. And, with the parade, again, the thoughts were multifold. There was multiple reasons, safety being one of them. I know everybody has an opinion about coronavirus. I have my own opinions about what's real, what's not, what's factual, what's fake. But on the flip side, I also see the newspapers saying that there's an increase or a spike taking place right now in the state of Florida. So that's in the back of my mind. Public safety is part of government's role, making sure that people are being safe and within the city limits. But again, that being said, let's get ready to try to see if we can fire off some fireworks. I mean, the 4th of July parade's not going anywhere as far as it's going to be here every year. I mean, it really is. And people say, well, we've done it for this long. I understand. I really do. I hate it. And I don't know any other way to put it. I'm not trying to be mean or ugly. The logistics of it with the staff, very difficult. They've been at home like everybody else for 3 months, working from a computer for the most part. We've had a skeleton crew up here, but we haven't had full functioning city hall going on for a long time. And I know this board has taken all that into consideration, so I'm not saying this to anybody except for out loud of my thoughts. I think, obviously, it's a positive thing that last meeting didn't devolve into a shouting match. To me, that's a positive step, because you're right, democracy, republics, it's working out issues, it's compromising until you come up with a happy solution. And I think that's what we're doing here today, so I think it's a very positive step for our city that we're all sitting here talking about this. And that's really all I have, Mayor, at this point. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Aldridge. Anyone else?
Yes, Mayor, if you don't mind.
Go ahead, Commissioner Russell.
I just want to applaud the citizens for coming out. I mean, it's what a representative government is. The commission made a decision and the citizens weren't happy about it, and they spoke to us. And that's, we're here to represent. Most of the people that came to me and talked to me about it, they were okay or understood the reason for the parade, but every one of them was adamant that we should have fireworks. I mean, and like I said, we're elected to listen to our constituents and do what they ask. So that's all I got to say, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mrs. Gaynor, did you have any?
The only thing, of course, I started off the last meeting, the fireworks were part of what we wanted to present. Our whole goal and trying to make sure that everyone was safe, even staff. I have to, and we have to look at the fact if one person attracts this disease, it could wipe out an entire police force, an entire fire force. And that was my thought behind us pretty much trying to make sure that people were kind of staying within their families, not confining them to their cars, really social distancing, a lot like Panama City is doing, social distancing, not staying in large groups, and really just trying to define it so everybody could come out and enjoy the fireworks. I encourage you, stay in your backyards and your homes and watch them from wherever you would like to watch them from. There are going to be many places, if we can get it moved a little bit further, that you'll be able to see them even better. So I never had a problem with fireworks. It was really just the safety of both the citizens and the staff. So, I thank you for the comments that were great and the comments that were not so great. But we will do whatever this commission directs us to do, but keeping in mind that I do want to keep staff safe, and you safe, and myself safe while we're working this.
Thank you. Anyone else from the commission? Anyone from the public or the staff? Any comments online, Mr. Neves? No?
Mayor,
Yes.
can we make a motion? I'd like to move that we rescind our last order from about the fireworks and the parade, and to go ahead and do the fireworks at the city manager's discretion of distancing and so forth, and let the people in Lynn Haven know we heard them loud and clear, and we want to have fireworks in the bay on 4th of July, and I guess that means we would have to cancel the Labor Day stuff and just say we cancel the 4th of July parade.
I will second, but we could bring this up at another time. We have all discussed, well, not together because that's not allowed, but I know separately that we would like to have like a unity day this year. A lot of us have been talking about that because we've been through the hurricane, we've been through the pandemic. We were trying to wait until possibly fall when things settled down, and I know we were talking about doing something like that. Why don't we have a parade on Labor Day, but have it a Unity Day type parade? I'm just throwing this out there. If y'all don't want to do it, that's fine, but I'm just thinking out loud, add that into the motion to keep our parade on Labor Day is what I'm getting to.
If I could respond to that, I've had a great deal, and I'm not saying the rest of the commission may not feel this way, or the city manager or the staff, but I've had a great deal of feedback about the fact that Labor Day weekend is the Gulf Coast Jam, and a
Yep.
lot of our employees have already bought tickets for that and won't want to work
Yep.
that day. And also, I've had comments about the fact that we're not willing to have an Independence Day parade, but would have a labor parade, which celebrates labor, and then it moved on to socialism, and it denigrated from there. So that's just my comment. If anyone else would like to join in, please feel free.
I agree. I think the Labor Day idea is just, I'm not going to say silly, but I think it's not necessary. I had a lot of people making jokes. What are we going to wear to the Labor Day parade? Red, white, and blue, or whatever, I think one thing that we haven't brought up is the fact that 4th of July is the only patriotic holiday we have throughout the year. And it's our way of honoring our soldiers and our people that have fought for us for years and years. I talked to a gentleman, and he told me, he said, you know what, I want you to fight for the whole thing if you can, but at least have some recognition. He said, I was 30 years in the military. He said he fought Korea. He fought, a few other places. He was in the Pentagon on 9/11, and he just retired. And he said, 4th of July is important to him, just like it should be to all of us. So, I mean, even if this board chose to only do the fireworks, I would like to see us line Sheffield Park with flags for the day. I think flags should be everywhere. I mean, I think we need to do something extra, to honor the military on 4th of July.
Mayor?
Yes, please.
We put out flags every year for the 4th of July. We spend an entire day putting out flags for the 4th of July. Staff shaking their heads because they know that.
Okay.
Ms. Vicki, aren't we looking at wildflowers patriotic style. There's some more things in the works we're looking at that's going to be a surprise
That's
too.
exactly right.
But anyway, I will second Commissioner Perno's motion to move forward with the fireworks.
Is there further discussion from the board? Go
I
ahead.
have one more question. I'm sorry, but I have one more question based on the fact that the motion says it will be up to Ms. Gaynor to decide the restrictions on watching the fireworks. That's really important to me. And like I halfway joked, but I was serious last meeting. I don't feel it's right for us to put a 4 and a 7 and a 10-year-old kid in a car and tell them they have to stay there for the fireworks. And I don't let kids sit on my car with their shoes, so I don't know how everybody else feels. So do you have a specific plan in mind?
I do. And that was not confining people to their cars.
Okay.
That was trying to keep people within their whole families as we
Space.
do. Yeah, their space. And allowing them to choose where they're going to be instead of us telling them. We even thought about, and staff had talked about, maybe, cordoning off that big field, maybe people not being in there and utilizing all the parking space that we have for people who want to drive right up to the water and see it, and be with their families. There's so many ways that we can do this, but I am not going to just confine people and say, you have to stay in your car. That will be their choice. Some will maybe bring their chairs and sit out along, along Fifth Street or somewhere along in there. Many have already told me that they can watch the fireworks from their backyards, and they anticipate that a lot. And so logistically, what we're trying to do is minimize as much contact with other people for the staff as possible is what we're trying to do. That's all.
Would there be restrictions for people to just walk to the park with their lawn chairs as they have in the past?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Anything else from the board? So the motion is for fireworks only, not for the rest of the celebration, correct? Okay. Anyone from the public have anything else to say? Mr. Walker?
Morning. Rich Walker. July 4th is Independence Day. Has really nothing to do with the United States military. Okay? However, your point is well taken. The military is very intrinsic in this. Can I make a suggestion? When I was up in Washington, I used to take a 400-passenger paddle wheeler down to the Washington Monument when the fireworks came. This is beautiful. That's also televised. It is gorgeous. And usually after your fireworks, which I go down in the back by the fuel depot area and where nobody is at, and I watch ours, then I go home and watch Washington. Can we televise ours? Maybe the people that can't get there will see ours, and then later tune into the Washington ones. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Anyone else?
And just to piggyback off of what Mr. Walker said, last year we did film the whole thing, and there were people that were out of state, and we actually posted it on Facebook for a lot of people to see, and they enjoyed it and thanked us for putting that there. That's absolutely no problem at all, and we can surely get that done again this year. Thank you.
So we've had a motion and a second for fireworks only, and I understand that we can get there any way we like and sit with whom we choose is the way the motion has been set up, but there will be no other activities going on the 4th of July. So at this point, there's no further discussion. Mrs. Gaynor, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Commissioner Russell,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Commissioner Aldridge,
Yes.
Mayor Anderson.
No, and with the caveat that because I thought we should have more than just the fireworks. But anyway, thank you, Commission, for bringing the fireworks to the people. And the meeting is adjourned. So we have